John Wayne made over a dozen war movies and never served a single day. Most of them are unwatchable propaganda, but his best one has a perfect score. Not a single critic has ever had a bad word to say about it. The Flying Leathernecks pairs John Wayne with Robert Ryan, two guys who should be fighting each other the entire movie. Nicholas Ray directed it, the same guy who made Rebel Without a Cause, so you'd think he'd know how to create conflict. Ryan's character can't handle being responsible for sending men to their deaths. Wayne gets promoted over him. They're supposed to clash. Except the movie's biggest problem is that about 80% of the action is just stock footage from the actual war. Shaky, out-of-focus shots of real combat. At one point, you can literally see a hair stuck in the camera gate. They did build some sets to blow up with real fighter planes, which is something, but the real disappointment is that Wayne and Ryan never actually get into it. By the time Ryan finally does get a man killed and earns Wayne's respect, you've stopped caring. Bit of a wasted opportunity considering the talent involved. Operation Pacific is Duke's first World War II film of the 1950s, and it's a submarine movie, which automatically makes it interesting. It's not The Boat or Run Silent, but it's solid. Warner Brothers made this one instead of Republic, so the production values are noticeably better than Wayne's earlier war films, and it also uses tons of stock footage, just like Flying Leathernecks, but for some reason it doesn't kill the film the same way. Maybe it's because the submarine stuff is inherently more interesting, or maybe the story just holds together better. Ward Bond shows up as the sub's first commander until he dies heroically attacking a Japanese ship. Then Wayne takes over playing a guy literally named Duke Gifford. The climax has Wayne and his crew stuck in the middle of the Imperial Japanese fleet, though it doesn't have the same tension as similar scenes in The Boat. But overall, it's a pretty enjoyable entry in Wayne's war filmography. The Fighting CBS is based on the real Navy construction battalions, basically wartime construction workers who weren't allowed to carry weapons because technically they were still civilians. Wayne plays a construction boss who fights for his workers' right to shoot back when the Japanese attack. It's a low-budget propaganda film with lots of back projection and stock footage. The Japanese are portrayed as maniacs who shoot people in the back. Wayne goes on a suicide mission, pushing a tank of boiling oil onto attacking Japanese soldiers with a bulldozer before getting shot in the chest. Now, there's one scene I need to mention because it's pretty painful to watch. Early in the film, there's a party where Wayne jitterbugs with a girl. John Wayne cannot dance at all. He was about 36 when they made this, and the studio was clearly trying to make him seem hip and young, but it doesn't work. Still, it makes this movie memorable, even if for all the wrong reasons. The Green Berets is the elephant in the room when it comes to Wayne's career. It exploded into massive controversy in the late 1960s. Some people saw it as a tribute to American forces fighting in Vietnam. Others saw it as right-wing propaganda. You can pick your side on that, but just looking at it as an action movie, there's some pretty solid moments. The best part is this massive battle sequence that's clearly modeled on Wayne's The Alamo, with the Viet Cong using ladders to climb over barbed wire like it's a siege. And after the battle, where Wayne somehow survives a helicopter crash, the movie becomes Mission Impossible meets The Dirty Dozen. Wayne and his team go kidnap a North Vietnamese general. Despite all the controversy, the Green Berets made over $20 million at the box office. It was Wayne's biggest non-Western hit, bigger than anything except The Longest Day, so clearly plenty of people liked it. Otto Preminger made In Harm's Way, and Preminger loved melodrama. 10 minutes in and there's already naked beach scenes, a death by car fire, and Pearl Harbor getting attacked. Over the next 3 hours, he throws in suicide, adultery, betrayal, and Wayne discovering his estranged son has enlisted. They used to call movies like this adult movies, and it checks out. Wayne plays Captain Rockwell Torrey, and you can actually see him trying to act here, not just do his John Wayne thing. He's playing someone flawed who can't connect with his son and who's vulnerable to danger like anyone else. He loses his leg in the final battle. Kirk Douglas takes a suicide mission out of guilt after assaulting a nurse who killed herself. Wayne's son dies in a torpedo attack. It's genuinely underrated. The final battle looks terrible, but it shows what Wayne could do when working with a real director. A few years before The Longest Day, producer Darryl Zanuck publicly criticized Wayne for announcing he was going to produce, direct, and star in The Alamo. Zanuck thought Wayne was overstepping, making a fool of himself. Fast forward to 1962. Zanuck's producing The Longest Day, this massive World War II epic with all the biggest stars. And he needs Wayne. Except now Wayne's in a position to make Zanuck pay for his words. Wayne signs on for $250,000 for 20 minutes of screen time in a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. That's about $20,000 per minute. And Wayne spends most of those 20 minutes being wheeled around on a stretcher. He's playing Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Vandervoort, who broke his ankle parachuting into Normandy on D-Day. Wayne was 55, playing someone who was actually 27 in 1944, and he's doing it from a stretcher with a broken ankle. But even with all that working against him, Wayne still gives the best performance in the entire film. Flying Tigers came out in 1942. The war was still happening, Pearl Harbor had been attacked less than a year earlier, and Republic Studios was cranking out propaganda as fast as they could. Wayne plays Jim Gordon, commander of American volunteer pilots in China fighting the Japanese before America officially entered the war. The movie's got a love triangle, stock footage, flying sequences, all the usual stuff. But what makes it work is it knows exactly what it is and it commits to it completely. The Japanese are shown bombing hospitals, shooting parachuting pilots, just pure evil throughout. And the movie builds to this moment where the volunteers hear about Pearl Harbor and their fight becomes official. Wayne immediately volunteers for a suicide mission. He's ready to fly a plane full of explosives into a Japanese troop train. Yeah, it's propaganda, and it's everything you'd expect from a wartime movie made while the war was still being fought, and it's effective as hell. Edward Dmytryk directed Back to Baton in 1945. A couple years later, he got caught up in the anti-communist witch hunts in Hollywood and ended up in jail. He and Wayne clashed during production over their political differences. Despite that tension behind the camera, or maybe because of it, they made the most brutal World War II film Wayne had done up to that point. Summary executions of American prisoners. A teacher hanged from a flagpole. Japanese soldiers getting knifed and chopped to death. At one point, Wayne gets blasted into the air by a hand grenade. The political tension between Wayne and Dmytryk somehow resulted in something way more honest than what Wayne had been making at Republic. I guess sometimes conflict does create better art. They Were Expendable is about motorboat crews in the Pacific. The title tells you how it ends. They're expendable, meaning most of them are already dead by the time you're watching their story. John Ford directed it right after the war ended. Wayne's second billing to Robert Montgomery, but this is the first genuine classic war film of his career. Robert Montgomery had actually served in the war, commanded a boat in the Pacific. Ford had seen action too, got wounded at Midway, witnessed D-Day. Wayne hadn't served at all, and Ford wouldn't let him forget it. Ford rode Wayne mercilessly on set for not enlisting. It got so bad that Montgomery had to step in and defend Wayne, and you can see it in Wayne's performance. It's subdued, completely unlike his usual swagger. The battle sequences between the boats and the Japanese are exciting and authentic, probably because Ford and Montgomery had witnessed the real thing. It's a small masterpiece in Ford's catalog that doesn't get enough attention. Sands of Iwo Jima earned Wayne his first Oscar nomination for Best Actor. He plays Sergeant Stryker, a Guadalcanal veteran training Marines for battle. The performance is more complex than anything Wayne had done before, something he'd hinted at in Red River and would perfect later in The Searchers. The battle sequences are impressive, mixing staged action with stock footage from the actual fight for Iwo Jima. But what makes this movie work is how it ends. Throughout the film, Stryker's this tough, uncompromising sergeant whipping his men into shape. Near the end, after all the fighting, he's standing there telling everyone he feels good. Everything's going to be okay. Then he gets shot in the back by a Japanese sniper and drops dead instantly. It's genuinely shocking, and it works because the film breaks the rules. Wayne lost the Oscar to Broderick Crawford. I really think he was robbed there. This is the best war film he ever made, and that death scene is a masterclass in how to subvert audience expectations. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It holds up. Still got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes 70 years later.